Hi everyone, I'm just going to give you a demonstration of how to make the flowers in your craft pack so that you can make your lovely paper craft flower canvas. So I'm going to just move the screen down because you need to see the table in front of me. And then I'm going to go through how to make the things you've received in your pack, so just adjust that a bit. Okay, so your pack will have contained lots of little bags that look like this, and each of those bags has a flower in, an individual flower. Now, the types and colours of flowers that you get in your pack will vary a little bit. They've got a selection of everything, but they've come in separate packs so that you don't confuse petals and sizes and things like that, because some of them look the same. So that's just a little organisation thing. So when you've got your pack, a good thing to do is to open up the bags and see what flowers you've got, but it's a good idea to keep them in their sets, so that way you know which part goes with which flower, because it can get confusing. They do all look a bit similar, so it's a good idea just to keep them a little bit separate. So I'm going to go through with you how to make each of the individual flowers. There are 5 different types of flowers in various different colours and sizes, but once I show you how to make them, the same principle applies throughout. So we'll start with this one. So you've got a glue gun in your pack if you didn't already have one, and so it's a hot glue gun. You can get cold glue guns as well, but this is a hot one, so I've plugged it in, ready to use. Now it does get super hot, and you will end up with burnt fingers, but that's just kind of a hazard of the craft, really. It's just one of those things, but just be careful with it, and just try to kind of manage the flow a little bit. I've got mine sat on a, you can't see it very well because my lead's only short, but I've got it on a plastic lid, because when you're not using the glue gun and it's plugged in, glue will drip out, so you don't want to get that over any soft furnishings. And then on this lid, when it's dry, I can just pick it off, so that's fine. So I'm going to do this flower first. So if you lay out all the individual pieces, you'll see what you've got to work with. So in this flower, which is one of my favourite shapes, you've got these two are the same size, and then they go down in size. So you have 5 different layers for this flower. So all you're going to do is take your first layer, and you always start with the biggest size first, and just drop a little bit of glue around the centre hole. And then I'm going to take the next flower, and I'm going to lay it over the top, so matching those holes up, but I'm going to lay it so I'm filling in the gaps. So I haven't laid them directly on top of each other. I've layered them so that you've got the gaps filled. And that's the principle you need to think of or do when you're doing all of the flowers. The idea is to layer them so you're filling up the gaps. So it's like alternates. So when I do the next one, bit of glue in the middle, then I'm going to put this next layer on. And again, I'm not laying it on top of that, I'm going in between the gaps so you can see. So you see I'm getting a really nice layered shape there. Don't worry about any bits of glue that are stringing off. Hot glue is really stringy. When you finish the project, you'll be able to pick all that glue off, any trails. It comes off really easily. It won't affect your design. So again, another bit of glue in the middle, pop that one on top in an alternate way. Press it down. And then I've got my final one, so a little bit of glue again. And then drop that alternately. So what I've got is a really nice layered flower. And then when you've done all of that, and before you put your embellishment in the middle, just bend the flower. Don't be worried about doing this. You're not going to damage it. Just bring all the layers, just give them a scrunch, bit of a scrunch up. And you'll see what that does. It kind of gives the flower a bit more shape and a bit more texture to it. So I do this on all the flowers and just give them a bit of a squeeze, and then that's done. So that's flower number 1. You've also got some leaves with this flower. You don't have leaves with all of the flowers, but this one has leaves. They're a really nice set of leaves. So again, you pop a bit of glue on the back of the flower in the hole, and then you match the holes up, stick those leaves on, And again, there we've got your flower. So give it another scrunch up. That's your first flower made. So it's a really, really simple way to make the flowers, but when they're finished, they look really effective. But it is based on that layers routine. So let's pop that one to one side and we'll go for the next one now. Again, pull them out so you can lay them out even, so that you can see what you're working with. And you'll see 5 layers, but this time none of the layers are the same size. They gradually decrease in size, and that's fine. This is just the style of that flower. So you're working on a really similar basis. Now this flower doesn't have a hole in the middle to match up, so you do just have to do a little bit of guesswork on this and match them up as best you can. So again, pop a little bit of glue in the center, and you take the next layer and you pop it on top. And again, putting the next layer in the gaps left by the first layer. So you can see we're layering it up in the gaps. So keep doing that, bit of glue in the center. And then press it down. And again, keep going all the way through. As you layer your flower up. And then finally, a little piece on top. So again, you can see that the flower's been layered up on top of each other. So the layers aren't directly laying over the previous layer. We're doing that alternate to give them a really nice shape and to make them look quite full. And again, get all these bits of glue off. And when you're finished, you can scrunch it up a bit. Really kind of, don't be afraid of bending it up. You really aren't going to cause any damage. It just gives the flower a nice bit of shape and a bit of lift. Okay, so there's flower number 2. So let's go for this one next. So again, lay out your pieces. And you'll see that you have got 4 big ones, 2 little ones. So these go in sets of 2, and then you've got a small piece to go in the center. Now, some of the flowers, when you get them, will still have little bits of paper in the center, and that's just where we've taken them off the cutting machine and it's not taking that bit of paper out. So just use something sharp to poke that out, like a needle or a pin, because that will help you line them up. So they just poke out really easy with something sharp. So I've got 2 of those, so we'll just poke those centers out. Just makes life a little bit easier. So these are nice and big to work with. I like these flowers. So again, bit of glue in the center. And then pop the next one on top, lining up the holes. You can see I'm lining up the holes, putting the flowers in the alternate gaps. And those 2 are together. If you want to on this one, you can do the 2 sets first and then glue them together. Sometimes that makes it a little bit easier. So I'm gluing 2 sets of 2 similar sizes together. And again, just put that in the gap. And I've got those 2 sets there. So now I'll join them up. So again, you're always matching the holes. So where you've got holes in your flower, use them to make sure that you're matching them up in the center. Press those down. And then you've got these 2 little centers here. So the big one goes on first, the bigger of the 2. So again, a little bit of glue in the center. And pop it on. Sometimes I struggle to find the center, but if you hold it up to the light, you'll get a bit of light shining through the hole, and that's a really useful tip. Sorry, I realised I just took that off camera. I was just holding it up to the light because I couldn't quite see the centre. So you'll be able to hold it up to the light to see the centre if you're finding it hard to line them up. And then again, pop the next little one on. Glue everywhere. And then push them down. So again, you've got a really nice layered flower. Lots of glue on this one, so just pull it off. The glue can seem to get everywhere, but like I said, once it's dry, it will pull off. So don't worry about if there feels like there's glue everywhere. And again, scrunch it up. Give it a bit of texture. And really bend it up. Okay, so that's that shaped flower. So there are 2 more to go. I'll leave the more awkward one till last. So we'll do this one next. So you see with this one, we lay it out, we have 4 layers. Again, the holes have been left in by the machine on this one, so I'm just going to poke them all out before I make it, just so it makes lining the flowers up a lot easier. It's not coming out. Okay, so they're all out. So again, same principle. I've got 2 layers which are the same size and then they decrease in size. So I'll do my 2 larger layers first. So again, some glue around the center, and you're matching up the holes and laying the flowers in an alternate way. I like these big flowers. They're my favourite. Again, so a bit of glue around the center, and then line up the center holes and lay the petal down, and final lay up, put that one as well. Now just be careful with the glue, because you don't get that much time before it sets and you can't use it. So once you put the glue on, you kind of need to make the placement and the pressing down of your layer quite quickly, otherwise the glue will harden. Now if it does, you can just kind of put a bit more glue on top, but it's just something to be mindful of, that the glue does dry quite quickly. And then again, as we've done before, give it a scrunch up just to give it a bit of texture. Now this flower has some leaves on it. You don't have to put the leaves on the flower. That's a totally your personal choice. I like the leaves on the flower, so I'm going to add this one onto it. And again, you just pop a bit of glue on the back and lay the leaves over the top, so you can see. And then when you bring it together, you've got this lovely big flower. Move some of this out of the way, and then we're on to our final shape. Now this one looks a bit of an odd one. It's lots of pieces. It's a bit of a fiddly one, but it's a nice flower. So if you lay them out, you'll see that you've got 2 of the petals until you get to the littler ones, and you've got 1 each of those. And just check that the centers have been poked out, because that's quite helpful on this one, because this is a bit of a fiddly flower to put together. But it does give you a nice effect. This is a really pretty flower. But it is just a little bit more fiddly. So I'm just making sure the holes are right from the center. You can do this with a pin or anything sharp. Okay, so you're going to work with the same size petals at a time. So there's 2 of these. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to put some glue in the center of this, and we're going to lay this one over the top. So we're filling up the gaps left by the first petal. Okay, so it really is as easy as that. So let's pop a bit of glue on the center. Now this is where the light trick is really useful. So I am going to hold this up to the light, because the hole is quite small and I want to be able to match them up. So if I hold it up to the light, that allows me to see where I'm placing that layer. And then those 2 have just been put together. I'm going to do the same for the second size as well. So I am going to put them together first. So again, I'm going to put a bit of glue on there. I'm going to hold it up to the light so I can see, and I'm going to match the holes up. That makes it easier to do that. So that one's put together as well, and the same again for the third set. So a bit of glue in the center, and then I'm going to hold it up to the light and lay those over each other. Having that hole is really useful when you're trying to make sure the flowers are central. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue those 3 layers together. So starting with the biggest at the back, I'm going to put a spot of glue. And if you hold them up to the light, you should still be able to see the holes. And you're going to lay it not quite over the layer before, but again, in the middle. So the idea is you're aiming to get still that layered effect. So when I've placed that over, you can see that I'm not placing the layers directly over each other. They're going alternately, because that gives you that really nice kind of 3D effect. And again, I'm going to do the same with the other 2 that I put together as well. And I'm going to do this one without using the light because it's getting difficult to see now. So I am literally just going to do a bit of guesswork and place it down. So again, I'm just building up the layers to make sure that I'm not placing any of the layers over the previous ones in a straight way. I'm just trying to alternate them and give it a bit of depth and a bit of volume. So once you've done all those, so you should have layered up 3 layers now. This one is a single layer, so you are going to just lay that in the gaps left by the previous layer. So in these gaps is where I'm aiming to get the petals of that flower. So again, just a little bit of glue, and I can leave that there, put some glue on. I always find you have to put a bit more glue on this flower because they tend to, it's a multi-layered flower. There are more layers in this, so it tends to be a bit heavier. So you do need to use a little bit more glue. And when I scrunch it up afterwards, I might need to add a bit more glue into it just to stabilize it a bit, but we'll see how it goes. And then this tiny little piece here, it's got 4 petals on it, so you can literally just lay it across the middle like that. So I'm going to pick this up this time, put a bit of glue on it, and lay this one just like that in the centre. If you want to have a practice layering up your flowers before you glue them, then that's not a bad idea. See, I've already discovered that it's come apart and I tried to scrunch it. So just a bit more glue on the back one because it's a heavier flower, and then just glue it back into position. So no worries there, it can be rescued. And again, this one, scrunch it up. Now I find, because this is quite a chunky flower, that I'm scrunching up the layers individually. So lay it flat and then bring up the layers one by one. So you can see that I'm scrunching it up a bit more like that. What you want are the center layers to be lifted. So that's all of the different styles of flowers that you've got in your pack. Again, as I said, the colours vary, the sizes vary, you've got a selection of flowers in your pack. So what I'd recommend you do is you make all your flowers, and even if you don't use them all, that's not a problem. There are 15 flowers in your pack, and that just gives you a bit of variation when you lay your flowers out on your canvas. So before you start to do that, it's a good idea to get your pack of embellishments. We've got a whole host of shiny and sparkly things in here, and then just put an embellishment in the middle of your flower. So I'm going to show you with this one. So I really like these pearlized ones. I think they're really nice. So again, all you do is you turn it over, you drop a bit of glue on the back, and this is really where you need to be careful with your fingers. Then you drop it into the centre of your flower, push it down, and then again give your flower a bit of a scrunch up, and then you've got your embellishment in the middle of the flower. So if you put all of your embellishments on your flowers, you've got lots to choose from, lots of different sizes and colours and shapes. So there's plenty for you to choose from and decorate your flowers with. So once you've decorated all of your flowers, you can put them to one side. And you'll notice in your pack you've got some butterflies. So I'm just going to show you how to make a 3D effect from a butterfly, and then everything's ready then, so you can start laying out your canvas and seeing what you might want that to look like. Now again, with these ones, not all of the cardboard has come out. So again, you might want to poke out some leftover pieces in your butterflies. So one thing to be careful is you've got 4 big butterflies, and they do vary just ever so slightly in size. So before you glue them, you need to make sure you've got the right butterfly. So the one with the cutout goes over the slightly smaller one, and then you've got 2 bigger ones which are the same size. So you can swap them over if you want to, but just be mindful that needs to be a choice you make, because actually you see that there are different sizes there. So use those in whichever way you want. If you want the same sizes or you want to mix that, that's your choice. But I'm going to stick to the same sizes. So the way you make these 3D is really simple. So you put a line of glue down the center of your butterfly. So not a really heavy line, just a light line of glue down the center of your butterfly. And all you're going to do is stick the top butterfly over the top of that, matching it up and then pressing it down. And when that glue dries, what that means you can do is you can pull those 2 wings up, and that gives you a 3D effect butterfly. And that looks quite nice because it looks better than it lying flat. Gives you a bit more of a dimension to it. So that's that one. And if you want to use all of your butterflies in the same way, so this one as well, you do exactly the same. So a line of glue down the center body of your butterfly, lay that one on top, press it down, and then again, you can pick that one up. Now you've got some really nice smaller gemstones in your pack, and you can use these. These are quite fiddly to stick onto your butterfly, just to give it a bit of shine, a bit of sparkle, but you can decorate that in whichever way you want. So that's just an example. So that's that butterfly, and then you've got 2 tiny ones, and again, you don't have to, but if you want to make a 3D one, you just pop a little bit of glue. Be careful with the glue in this one because it is so tiny, you only need a little amount, and then put that one on top as well. So then what you've got are 3 butterflies that have got a lovely 3D effect. Now, you've done all of that, so it's time to lay out your canvas. Now, you don't have to use your canvas plain. If you wanted to, you could paint it, or you could put some decoration on it, maybe some wallpaper that you've got, or something to colour in the background if you don't want to use it white, and that's completely your choice. So it'd be great to see what you do with your canvas before you put your flowers on. And then it is about just laying your flowers out on your canvas to decide where you want them and what colours you want to use and sizes and shapes and all that kind of thing. So what I would recommend is don't glue anything down until you are absolutely sure that that's where you want things to stick, because once you've glued it, it's really hard then to take it back up. So when I did the example, I'd glued something in the wrong place and I thought, well, I'm not sure about that. And when I took it off, it took the canvas off with it as well. So you need to make sure that where you're putting your flowers is where you want them to be before you glue it. Otherwise, you run the risk of ruining your canvas. And if you've painted it or you've put some wallpaper on it, then that will probably pull that off too. So it's best just to be sure before you start the gluing and commit to the final design. So you can lay your flowers out in whatever way, shape or form that you want. And that's totally your choice. And what a good idea to do is you can tuck them under other flowers, so they don't have to be kind of sat on their own. You can tuck them under and pull different petals underneath or whatever. So you can lay them out as much as you want. Now you've also in your pack got some glittered leaves. So again, once you've designed your canvas and you're happy with everything it is and they're glued down, you can then add leaves and other things to them. Now I glued all of my flowers down before I added these bits because I wasn't gluing them to the back of flowers, I was just seeing where I could slot them in. So I would put a bit of glue on the back of that and a little drop on the leaves, and then I would just slot it in where I wanted it to be, because you don't need to attach it to the back of the flower that you want it on. You can really be inventive about where you put these. So as I said, lay out your flowers and then you can choose where you want to have the various leaves and things, because you know different leaves look nice in different places. So the idea is once all of your flowers are stuck on, you can then add the leaves and all these funky bits to it afterwards. And they just give it a little bit of extra lift and make it look really lovely. And then once you're happy with all of that, you can place your butterflies wherever you want to on the canvas as well. So again, just be really sure about where you're sticking them and placing them before you stick them. So have a little play around, see what positions you like. Sometimes it's a good idea to stand the canvas up and have a look at it as well once the flowers are stuck on before you stick your butterflies on, because standing it up gives you a different perspective. It can be quite hard when you're looking down onto your canvas to see everything. Sometimes it's good to just stick a few flowers on, stand it up. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. So again, just it's a slow process. What I would say is don't rush it. I know the temptation is to get all the flowers done, stick it all down, but what I don't want you to do is be disappointed with the end result. So just take a little bit of time, stick a few things, stand back, have a look, and do it that way. Because as I said before, once you've stuck them, you're committed to sticking them, getting them up is a real problem and will wreck your canvas. So that's the session, that's the workshop done. We've been shown how to make all of the flowers. Just one more tip I will say before I leave you to it, I know you're eager to get started, is if when you've lifted your flowers, you still want a bit more lift in them, you can, if you want to, pop a bit of glue behind the layers to lift them up. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's say we wanted this flower to be a little bit more up, open, and you can, if you want to, just drop a bit of glue behind the layers to stick them up. So I've dropped some glue behind that layer now. So you see on that side, it's down a little bit, but if you like that look, then you can drop some glue behind the layers and really lift them up. The other thing you can do is, I'm not sure I've got the example here, but you can mix and match colours. So if you've got, when you open all your pack up and you've got flowers that are the same size but different colours, if you wanted to mix and match the same petals from the same size flowers, if that makes sense, you can. So if I had a cream one of these in exactly the same size, I could alternate between the dark pink and the cream to make a kind of a layered, different coloured flower. So again, if those are things you'd like to try, lay it all out before you glue it, before you make that commitment, because you haven't got loads of room to kind of make mistakes with flowers. And so just be sure before you make that final commitment and glue them. So lots of possibilities to make this canvas as individual and as unique as you want it to be. So this is just an idea. You've got the tools here to do whatever you want with that canvas, and it would be great to see the results. I'm really looking forward to seeing the kind of end results that you come up with. I always love seeing what everyone's created. So if you could tag us in our Facebook page, that would be really helpful. We'd like to see your creations. And if you get stuck along the way, or you're kind of not sure of anything, or if you want a bit more advice, or if anything at all, then just drop us a message on our Facebook page and we'll do our best to help you. But I hope you've enjoyed this activity. Have fun, guys.